Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell out with some new comments about the legislative filibuster. You can throw that up there on the screen. Now, of course, with Democrats having a bare majority in the Senate, the filibuster is a key tool in McConnell's arsenal for obstructing almost everything that Democrats could possibly accomplish.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So here to discuss, Will Jawando. He's Democratic strategist, council member at large at Montgomery County, Maryland. And Inez Stepman. She's senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. Two great friends of the show. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
for having me here.
Absolutely. Will, let me start with you. This is an interesting showdown that's happening in Congress. So you've got McConnell and many of the Republicans saying that they won't agree to the power sharing agreement until Schumer affirmatively says that he will not go after the filibuster. Schumer and the Senate Democrats rejecting that outright. And at the White House press secretary was asked about it yesterday, did not give a definitive answer. How do you think this is going to proceed in the next couple of days?
Yeah, I've been calling it the showdown on day one. Look, Democrats and now the majority leader, Chuck Schumer, are right to hold their ground here. 20 years ago, there's a power sharing agreement. There were no extraneous agreements put into that. Look, the filibuster, the nuclear option on Supreme Court nominees was done by Republicans. Harry Reid in 2013 had to use it because they were obstructing simple cabinet nominees. And lower federal court judges. And so, it can be changed. And it's not if that's the leader's will, if that's what the Senate wants to do. And I think that they should stick to their guns and organize the Senate and then proceed. And then hopefully folks will work together. But if not, it's something that's there and the voters elected a majority for Democrats in the Senate. And that's something that's on the table. If McConnell wants to be obstructionist, which he did. I'll remember I was in the White House 2009. My number one job is to not let Barack Obama get reelected and stop his agenda. And so I think they're doing the right thing here. We'll see how it plays out, though.
And it's interesting to me that McConnell's really willing to go to the mat over the legislative filibuster when you've got at least Joe Manchin. And remember, in order to get rid of the legislative filibuster, you need every single Democrat on board because they have this bare majority. You already have Joe Manchin out there very clearly on election night saying, I promise you, we are not going to get rid of the filibuster. So where do you think that McConnell's nervousness comes from here?
Well, obviously, I think we're going to see a push from the left to get rid of the filibuster, and it's going to be a lot of pressure, right, to do it. But I actually want to bring up the fact that McConnell has one really big sort of bargaining chip in his pocket that I think isn't being talked about. And that is because the Senate is 50-50 officially, right? All the committees are tied up. If he wants to tie up every single nominee for the Biden administration, he can do that. And I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm not like a sort of behind the scenes Senate reporter, but I'm guessing that's part of this negotiation that is going on. Is that McConnell has that chip that may not be as public, is just that the ability he can't stop it, but he can slow it down to such a pace that the Biden administration is going to have a really, really hard time staffing up nominees. So that's what I would imagine is going on.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of posturing going on here, Will. I've made some calls behind the scenes. A lot of this has to do with impeachment. Some of it has to do with filibuster. Some of it has to do with the nominees. I mean, talk about this. Like, look, whether you like it or not, the Senate is 50-50. Filibuster is probably not going anywhere, given what Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin have said. So what is it going to be like in terms of them having to navigate this in the Senate? Because, look, I mean, people want to say McConnell and them will pay a price for obstruction. I mean, that just didn't happen under Obama. Obama still got reelected, but like Republicans still won a lot more seats. So how should Biden and them be thinking about it this time around?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, I think you're right on the price for obstruction. It generally, is a short memory on those things and it's just kind of a given. I think when Mitch McConnell retires, a synonym will be, obstruction and how successful he was and just leading his caucus and getting his way. So I don't think, as Dick Durbin has said, there's a big agenda to do this, starting with immigration and the stimulus package. I think Democrats need to use whatever's at their disposal while the time they have it to get it done. And that's with trying to work with folks in a real legitimate way. But I think if history, past is prologue, history shows that there is not going to be a lot of goodwill on the side of Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans to work with Joe Biden. And especially he can't control, 10 or 12 members of his caucus. I think Democrats have to just move forward, use reconciliation, keep the threat of the nuclear option on the table for legislative filibuster to remove it. And hopefully that will get people to come along and work constructively because America needs it.
And as last time around with Barack Obama, as Will was just alluding to, the Republicans were very disciplined in sticking together and obstructing almost everything that came through. Do you think that same level of discipline and commitment exists within the Republican Senate caucus today?
I mean, it depends what the agenda is, right? If the agenda is to move a COVID package, which, I mean, the last several weeks and then the previous stimulus package, if that cannot be explained as anything but a giant L for McConnell, right? He didn't pass a $2,000 stimulus checks. Now he's going to get $2,000 stimulus checks. Democrats will get political credit for passing $2,000 stimulus checks, which is widely popular, even with some members of his own party. And he's going to get a bunch of other stuff that in that bill that he probably doesn't like. So it was a completely bad, both political and policy decision that he made not to sort of try to block those $2,000 stimulus checks. So I think if that's the agenda, I think that'll move through. And I don't think you're going to see a lot of political will on the part of Republicans, although never underestimate the political sort of suicide instinct of Republicans. You very well might see them try to block that. But if that's the agenda, I think you will have, and that'll be moved probably through reconciliation anyways. But I think if you start, for example, with a cultural issue like immigration, you're actually going to unify the Republican caucus in a way that, economic stimulus or some of these actually issues where there is some quote unquote unity on is not going to unify them and probably not going to present a united front that is necessary to really block it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Perfect segue to our next topic with you guys. Stick with us, more Team Rising right after this.